The nightmare of homelessness is not locked inside glittering cities like San Francisco or Los Angeles. It has crashed straight into tiny Alpena, Michigan, once praised as the gem of the North. This town of fewer than 10,000 people now feels like a storm shelter with no roof. Travel its back roads, and you will see shredded tents flapping in the wind, grandparents napping inside dented cars, and whole families parked under the neon glow of Walmart every single night. What happened to the peaceful postcard life promised here? Our story dives headfirst into that hidden disaster. If you plan on fleeing big city chaos for quiet, rural bliss, watch before you pack a single box. Alpena is not a footnote. It is America's warning siren. The streets look calm, yet one tiny bump can smash a family's future. Alpena Fairgrounds, once alive with cotton candy and carousel lights, has turned into a forest of patched tarps held up by fraying rope and fading hope. The homeless count exploded from 302 in 2022 to nearly 700 today, an almost 2.5-fold jump in only 2 years. Even more shocking, 60% never faced this nightmare before. 28% still clock full-time hours, yet rent outruns every paycheck. 35% are single women battling to feed entire households, and 20% are elders relying on Social Security checks that shrank beside rising costs. Every one of them once trusted that steady work would keep a roof overhead, until the system shook and they fell first, hardest, and fastest. A local saying rings louder than ever: you are just 3 unpaid paychecks away from homelessness. In Alpena, that is no warning. It is daily truth. One blown head gasket, one pink slip, one hospital bill, and an entire family ends up sleeping inside a rusting van or crouched behind a dumpster. Winter nights here can feel like they last a lifetime, because once someone slips outside the safety net, climbing back feels almost impossible. City Hall meetings grow tense as leaders scramble for answers. Civic groups huddle, yet no one dares promise a fix. This is no isolated glitch. It is the sound of an entire framework cracking. Each displaced family is like a brick pushed out of a wall, leaving gaping holes for the wind to whistle through. If Alpena, the former vacation haven where grandpas once roasted marshmallows under starry skies, now watches elders burn jackets in the woods just to survive, what will happen to towns that never had Alpena's head start? If yesterday's stable citizens now wander without shelter, who is truly safe? Flames, not snow, became Alpena's latest torment. On a 20-degree night, a dry pop shattered the silence, and a wooden house on North 2nd Avenue burst into an ocean of fire. Red waves swallowed the home in minutes, turning white snow orange while neighbors screamed. Firefighters battled 6 long hours. One ended up in the hospital, and at dawn a skeleton of charcoal remained. The worst wound, though, burned inside the survivor's eyes. They did not just lose boards and shingles. They lost the feeling that home was unbreakable. Now they stand in smoky ruins clutching thin relief agency blankets, hoping a new sunrise will show a path forward. Advocates rushed in with temporary motel keys. Yet the word temporary can stretch for years when money is gone. Another entry joins Alpena's swelling homeless roster, proof that a single spark can erase decades of hard work. Picture the unseen victims, too. Kids who nod through morning roll call, but spend each night couch surfing. Alpena counts at least 105 students without a steady bed. They stuff charity meals into backpacks, hide fatigue behind test papers, and wonder where to unroll a blanket after dark. Monica Smith knows that fear. At 17, right before senior year, her family vanished and left her alone. She drags a duffel from friend to friend, prays teachers will not notice, and clings to graduation as if it were a lifeline. So, how many of us hover on that same fragile edge without seeing the drop? Homelessness is no longer only tents under bridges. It can wear a school uniform or punch a factory time card. In Alpena, the line between secure and stranded is now paper thin, and that paper keeps tearing. A 16-year-old should worry about exams, not about where to lay her head tonight. Yet Monica's life has turned into a nightly guessing game, filled with the haunting questions. Where will I sleep? What will I eat? Monica never waved a cardboard sign or wandered busy streets. Instead, she slipped off class lists, vanished from homework piles, and faded into the background until one alert teacher finally asked, "Where is she?" That single question cracked the door to help wide open. Through the federal McKinney-Vento program, she received a lifeline: temporary housing, hot meals, and bus rides, just enough to keep her in school. Caring adults helped her qualify, and she strode across the stage with her senior class, diploma in hand. Graduation day felt bright, but Monica still had no family cheering from the bleachers. A close friend offered a spare couch, belief, and a chance to enroll at Alpena Community College. Her dream survived, though it spent many nights hiding under blankets of uncertainty. The hardest truth is that students like Monica rarely look homeless. They do not camp under bridges or dig through trash. They sit quietly in history class, trying to blend in, and society forgets them because they master the art of seeming normal. Childhood memories get traded for survival skills, and we barely notice. Hundreds of Michigan children take this secret road every sunrise. If they can recite the Pledge of Allegiance, yet cannot recite their own address, have we failed them at school and in compassion? Housing numbers paint the next chapter, and the colors are bleak. Nearly 48% of renters statewide pay more than 30% of their income on shelter. Incredibly, 26% surrender over half their paychecks just to keep keys in hand. Alpena's strain is even harsher. Rents soar while wages crawl. The county once sold itself as affordable, yet 20% of renters now pour more than 50% of their earnings into rent, turning even a one-bedroom flat into a distant dream. Across Michigan, families devote roughly 26% of pay to housing. In Alpena County, 21% spent above the 30% stress line in 2022, a slight dip from 24% in 2017, yet the drop hides a bigger wound. Income stayed flat while every other bill ballooned. Picture the elderly counting pension coins or a single mother juggling overtime hours, each dangling from a frayed rope. The 2023 Alice report shows 62% of Black residents and 44% of Hispanic residents statewide work full-time, yet still cannot balance monthly costs. In Alpena, almost 45% live in the same Alice bracket. People who punch clocks daily, but remain one bill away from disaster. These are not abstract digits. They are whispered worries during sleepless nights. Old houses deepen the crisis. More than 70% of Alpena's urban homes were built over 6 decades ago, and repairs carry price tags that crush low-income budgets. Michigan's Housing Choice Voucher Program helps nearly 65,000 families, yet paperwork can stall while vacancies vanish. Local officials scramble to grow the affordable pool, but red tape often chokes momentum. For a household earning $40,000, the middle of the Alice range, rent often hovers near $1,000 each month. One late check or a sudden engine failure forces impossible decisions. Pay rent or buy medicine, fix the car or cover tuition. Miss the payment and the spiral begins: stress, hunger, sleeplessness, then homelessness. Remember the house fires we discussed? Those blazes are only the final spark after years of hidden fractures. Many experts stress the value of naturally occurring affordable housing, lower-cost units that need no subsidy and make up 47% of Michigan's rentals. These homes vanish when land prices spike, tightening the vice on already desperate tenants. Alpena's leaders draft plans, revive aging houses, build pocket-sized studios, add 1 or 2-bedroom units for seniors and singles. Yet if a simple roof has become a luxury, what remains for hardworking neighbors who keep the town running? Sunrise Mission fights on. The shelter feeds, houses, and comforts men, women, and whole families, carrying the weight of a welfare system almost alone. Budget cuts squeeze hard, beds stay full, and lines snake down the block. Staff must turn away shivering visitors simply because every mattress is taken. All Saints Catholic Parish, waiting on formal city approval, has already opened its hall as a tiny refuge with just 9 beds. Volunteers hand out soup and prayers while more people knock at the door. Demand grows faster than space, and compassion battles capacity every single night. Landlords face rising taxes and insurance. So many sell to investors who flip homes into short-term rentals. Each flip removes one more year-round lease and tightens the squeeze. Voucher in hand does not equal a key. Families call dozens of landlords only to hear, "We no longer participate," because inspections feel heavy. Aging pipes burst, roofs leak, and repairs cost thousands. Owners already strapped for cash delay fixes until units become unsafe, pushing tenants into the cold. Factory layoffs shrink wages while groceries and medicine cost more than ever. Paychecks stay flat and the gap grows wider every month. Hotel vouchers meant for brief emergencies now stretch for months, draining local budgets. Social workers celebrate every rare apartment match, yet new cases appear the next morning. Even so, Alpena's heart still beats. Students run coat drives, diner owners pass out hot coffee, and retired builders patch broken windows at Sunrise Mission. Kindness glows, but without broader action that light could fade. One lesson is clear: housing is more than walls. It is the base for school, health, and stability. When that base crumbles, everything else trembles. Shelters burst at the seams tonight, and the freezing wind cuts through every gap in Alpena. Families circle parking lots hoping for a spot to rest, while others climb back into battered cars because every mattress is spoken for. Parents leave children on a friend's couch for a few nights that feel endless, and chances for health, hope, and growth vanish when there is no safe roof. In a country once celebrated as the land of opportunity, the simple lack of overnight shelter screams that the system is cracking wide open. Those cots were meant for emergencies, yet they have become long-term addresses for hundreds. How can anyone call a home if dawn forces them out before sunrise, and no one knows whether the same bed will still be theirs by nightfall? Michigan's brutal winter digs sharp claws into every brick and bone, but one faint light keeps flickering. Sunrise Mission holds that spark, too small to warm an entire county, yet strong enough to guard fragile hope for people the world seems ready to forget. No giant grants and no headline favors power Sunrise Mission. Instead, local donors, church groups, and tireless volunteers pour kindness into each hot bowl of soup, each clean blanket, each gentle word that reminds guests they still matter. What started as an emergency shelter has become the last lifeline for men, women, and whole families with toddlers in tow. Nearly 2,000 visits ring the bell each year. Staff do far more than save bodies from frostbite. They help rebuild futures by finding jobs, locating doctors, and chasing permanent housing. Yet Goodwill cannot plug every leak. Public funding lags, paperwork stacks high, and without stronger support, Sunrise Mission can stretch only so far. Do you believe everyone in America has a place to sleep? Sit quietly at sunrise and hear a former neighbor explain how a lost job and a blown transmission stole everything. Imagine Alpena without this refuge. Where would they go? Where might we go someday? Alpena once felt like a hand-painted postcard. Elders swapped stories on porches, kids tossed baseballs under golden sunsets, and shoppers greeted cashiers by first name. That warmth now fades into worried stares, locked doors, and gusts whistling through vacant houses. This crisis is not an isolated glitch. It is the visible crest of a hidden wave that rolls across rural counties when affordable homes disappear, social services shrink, and dependable jobs slip away. The wall between shelter and street becomes thinner than ice. A 2025 study warned that almost 40% of rural Michiganders spend more than 30% of income on rent, a line experts call a housing burden. Alpena, anchored to seasonal labor and minimal welfare, shows what working full-time, yet staying homeless really looks like. Northern winters turn danger into a daily companion. The thermometer can plunge to 20 degrees. Without a warm bed, choices shrink to drafty tents, rusty car seats, or a stranger's porch. Many sleep in vehicles, the last shred of privacy, until a tow truck arrives or a flashlight taps the window at midnight. Charities carry heavy loads but cannot replace policy, proper budgets, and shared responsibility from higher offices. While officials debate, children, seniors, and night shift workers stumble through the gap between home and nothingness. It is time to quit assuming homelessness ends at city lines. The storm has marched into every small town, maybe even the one you call home today. Alpena once trusted unlocked cars and quiet lanes. Now it counts students without steady beds, adults bunking in vans, and charities drowning in demand. The town proves you do not need skyscrapers or soaring crime to lose everything. You need only a rent bill that outpaces your wage. Shelters turn people away nightly. Parking lots become the new neighborhood. Parents strap coats around children until seat belts hardly click, then run engines in short bursts, chasing the frost without draining every drop of gas. Friends help when they can, yet spare couches fill fast. One family might move from cousin to cousin, backpacks always half-packed. Homework gets crumpled in transit and grades slide while confidence sinks. Missing a single week of rest weakens immune systems. People without homes face triple the rate of chronic illness compared with those under stable roofs. Yet many skip doctor visits because they fear bills more than fever. Sunrise Mission staff see the toll every day. Volunteers drive guests to clinics and pick up prescriptions, but medicine cannot mend a broken housing market. Over 70% of Alpena's homes were built more than 60 years ago. Drafty windows and ancient furnaces gulp energy, pushing utility bills sky high. Landlords raise rent just to break even, and tenants already stretch thin face new hikes or eviction. Naturally occurring affordable housing once bridged the gap. These modest apartments charged reasonable rates without government help, making up roughly 47% of rentals across Michigan. When investors flip those buildings at premium prices, each sale erases an option and forces residents to search farther out. Voucher programs aim to help, yet in Alpena, only a few landlords accept them. Families clutch approved vouchers while the expiration date creeps closer, a deadline that can push them back to their car seats yet again. Picture one household earning $40,000. Rent hovers near $1,000 each month. Add fuel, childcare, and groceries that climb 12% in 2 years, and emergencies become disasters. Seasonal jobs make planning impossible. Restaurants hire cooks in June, then slash hours in October. Workers juggle side gigs or rely on unemployment that rarely covers rent.